Sent into CornyDriveThru at gmail.com from, I believe this name is Joshua Isert. Why do people say Ric Flair has the same match every day? And why do people like Bret Hart bust his balls? Is that all a shoot? It says, is that all a shoot work? I think it means a shoot or a work. We know heel Flair is going to chop you and get chopped back and take a face bump. We all know he's going to get caught on the top rope. We all know he's going to lock in the figure four and have it reversed. We all know he's going to low blow you at least 3 times. We all know the ref is going to be knocked out for a few minutes so he can have the run in. This is what I want to know, Jim. I'm 43 and watch nearly all of his matches, and I've never seen what people are saying about the same match. He does his shit, yeah, but there is so much in between the shtick, I think the common moron doesn't see it. Please give me your thoughts on this.
Well, there's several things going on here. Number one, everybody has their patterns and things they do. Look at Bret Hart's comeback. Bret Hart, the fucking, not the elbow, but the forearm drop, Russian leg sweep. You know, fucking Horner, of all people, you could call his a mile away. His comeback was 2 punches, shoot you into the turnbuckle, hip toss, drop kick. Everybody had a similar, I won't say everybody, but a lot of people had similar comebacks or similar things they did. What Flair did get repetitious with the things, his greatest hits, but it's because they were his greatest hits. Everybody wanted to see him. Everybody popped on him. It kind of got dejected or depressed if they didn't see Flair do all the things that, Flair usually did, right? Because Flairs were so visual and he did them over such a long period of time that I think now a lot of people think back and remember, well, that's all he did. No, all the matches were different. That's especially why I liked his matches with Terry Funk, because they were really different, because Terry would press you to be different. And also Flair was in a position as a babyface, so he got to do different things. But yeah, yes, I would have loved to have seen him come off the top and hit a few of those things a little bit more often just so that he could still miss them later. But, overall, people wanted to see the shit. He did it well and at a high level for years and years and years. It's kind of what made Flair Flair. So you were going to see those things, but you were going to see him in the course of a match that went anywhere from 20 to 30 to 40 minutes or more, especially in the arenas in his day when he had his druthers and could do anything he wanted to do. You couldn't drag him out of the fucking ring. So, but they remember the highlights, and those were the highlights. But yeah, a lot of guys, especially on their comeback or things that they did in every match, did get a little repetitious. And I don't know what it was with Bret and Flair, because Bret wanted to be known as the best technical wrestler in the business, and he was certainly in the conversation, but I don't think anybody would say he was the absolute best, but he was the best technical wrestler in the business that also looked like Bret Hart and had his background and could get over like Bret Hart. And Ric Flair wasn't as good a technical wrestler probably as Bret was, but Ric's promos were so much better than Bret's that you can't even fucking mention it hardly in the same conversation. So, everybody has their strengths and their weaknesses. And I think Bret tried a little too hard to tear Ric down because Bret was somewhat chafed that everybody said Flair was the best in the business and not necessarily him. But when you think about it, neither one of them were the best in the business at everything. That's why a lot of people said Flair was the best in the business, because he had the best physique and the best look and the best promo and the best working ability, both psychologically and the ability to do things over a long period of time than anybody else. But he was never really the best promo. He didn't have the best body, and he probably didn't even have the best psychology. For a while, that may have been Lawler. And he certainly wasn't the best shooter. But neither was Bret on any of those things. The best, the way you measure the best in wrestling is not by who's the best wrestler, because then you've eliminated a lot of the things that make up wrestling. The way that I've always, and I think the way that you have to measure the best, even though it's always subjective, is who, of all of the things that comprise making a great professional wrestler, who scores the highest in most of the categories. That person's the best in the business.
As you said, a lot of guys have their greatest hits and their greatest hits for a reason. But you also brought up Terry Funk. Other than Terry Funk, are there other guys you could think of who, whenever you saw them, either as a fan or being in the business, they didn't necessarily have greatest hits? You never knew what to expect from them.
Well, no, Terry, even if Terry was just, even if it was just a few short fucking left and right jabs while he staggered sideways, he did all of his shit in every match, but he was so crazy and crazy like a fox. And he did a lot of Terry Funkisms at every match, but it wasn't as obvious as the Flairisms. They weren't things that stood out as like, oh my God, he does this and he does that. It's just the little things that you can watch as a Terry fan. But, but still, yeah, a lot of times he'd just get in a mood, or he'd just take off, or he'd see something in the building that he could use, and he'd go from there. So there was a lot of wide variety, plus whatever fit the picture he was in. When he was the NWA World Champion, he did a lot less gaga than he even wanted to. And he didn't brawl so much, but he still sold like a madman. But when he was a babyface in Texas, he'd bring the whole goddamn ringside into the ring. But then later on in ECW, he did that stuff again. But when he was a heel in a regular wrestling territory, he would be just a dastardly heel. He was amazing.